Welcome, dear listener, to another deep dive.
Hello, everyone.
Today, we're plunging into, well, a truly unique set of sources. They're centered around the insights of someone who considers themselves a visionary.
Yes, and we've got a really fascinating collection here. Sometimes unsettling, actually. Observations, predictions, mostly about international politics.
That's right. We're looking particularly at Poland, the U.S., and Russia through this specific lens.
And our mission today, yours and ours, is really to go beyond just, reporting these perspectives. We want to understand the connections the source is making, and maybe more importantly, try to distill what these views suggest about current geopolitical anxieties, maybe potential future events, too.
Right. We're examining the themes, the underlying concerns. We're definitely not endorsing the speculative nature of the claims themselves.
No, absolutely not. It's about looking at how these narratives take shape, how someone interprets the world.
Exactly. Think of it as peeking into a very specific, maybe highly personal lens, a way of seeing a really complex world. So, get ready. Buckle up, maybe. Because we're about to explore a landscape filled with perceived betrayals, shifting allegiances, and some pretty dramatic prophecies. It should reveal quite a bit about the current climate.
It should indeed.
Okay, so to really understand where our source is coming from, it kind of helps to get a quick glimpse into his personal world first.
A bit of context.
Yeah, exactly. He opens with this really vivid contrast. He talks about a recent week-long vacation, Greek island of Kos.
Sounds lovely, right? 30 degrees Celsius, Aegean breeze.
Sounds perfect.
But then returning to Gdańsk, Poland, a huge shift. He arrives, it's August, and it's a chilly 10 degrees Celsius. Then it drops even further.
Wow, quite a shock to the system.
Right. He calls it a terrible, capricious summer in Poland. And this personal experience, this contrast, it almost seems to set the mood for his much larger, more unsettling premonition.
Okay, so the personal connects to the political. It seems that way. And that premonition, that's really the core of our deep dive today. He says, quote, "I feel a great betrayal of Poland coming. I feel some plotting and betrayal of Poland in the near future."
Oh, powerful statement.
Very. And he's open about it. He says this isn't based on, logical argument. It's an intense personal intuition, a feeling. He specifically mentions Poland being close to a certain betrayal, perhaps an international betrayal. It's a real gut-level thing for him.
And what's truly insightful here, I think, is how that kind of deeply personal feeling, even as you said, without conventional logical backing, how it can reflect, maybe even fuel, these profound national anxieties.
Right.
It speaks to a perception of vulnerability, doesn't it, on the global stage? A deep-seated concern about Poland's place, maybe its security, in the international order.
It makes sense.
Yeah, this kind of declaration, it really highlights how emotional currents can sometimes precede or even shape geopolitical narratives. It tells us a lot about the state of collective consciousness, potentially.
Okay, so moving deeper into these geopolitical claims now. The source turns his attention to Donald Trump.
Yes. Trump.
And his actions, particularly regarding the Ukraine-Russia conflict, they present this, enigmatic puzzle for the source.
How so?
Well, initially, he points out, Putin claimed he was very close to an agreement on peace, with Trump involved somehow.
Okay.
But then, quite abruptly, Trump apparently withdrew from arbitrating, just stepped back, essentially leaving Russia and Ukraine to face each other directly.
That is an interesting shift.
Our source finds the shift, and frankly, Trump's whole demeanor highly suspicious.
Suspicious in what way?
He points to things like Trump's frequent visits to Russia when he was younger, and he explicitly speculates, wonders aloud, really, whether Russia might, quote, have strong things on Trump.
Implying some kind of leverage.
Exactly. Suggesting he could be, in the source's words, on a leash or even muzzled by Russian intelligence or services. He finds Trump's apparent enchantment with Putin just very strange.
Enchantment is a strong word.
It is. He says, "I don't believe that Trump is so enchanted with Putin that he would applaud him on the red carpet," calling it something that doesn't add up.
Okay, so there's that suspicion. What else?
Well, a key contrast then emerges in the observations.
Oh.
He recounts this alleged meeting between Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office, where Trump supposedly, and this is the source's characterization, yelled at him like a little brat.
Wow. Towards the president of a nation at war.
Exactly. That's the picture painted. Yet the same source describes Trump's attitude towards Putin as seemingly, deferential, almost respectful.
That is a stark contrast.
Yeah.
Yelling at one, deferential to the other.
Right. And this perceived difference leads the visionary to conclude that Trump is becoming, quote, unreliable and dangerous as an international politician, someone whose behavior is just increasingly unpredictable on the global stage.
Unreliable and dangerous. That's a heavy assessment.
It is. And the source also revisits an earlier vision he had about a significant meeting, implicitly, it seems, a Trump-Putin encounter.
Okay, what about that vision?
He'd predicted back then that it wouldn't lead anywhere, that it might even become a scuffle or be brutally broken off.
And what actually happened, according to the source?
Well, as he describes it, the actual meeting saw the Russian side cutting the talk short by about half the planned time, apparently, and they refused lunch.
Refused lunch. That's diplomatically pointed.
Isn't it? The conclusion drawn is that despite maybe some final mutterings, the meeting ended unpleasantly short, without the usual diplomatic niceties. It strongly suggests Putin probably laid down his conditions, leaving Trump, quote, with a problem.
A problem.
Okay, so this brings us kind of full circle back to that powerful initial feeling of betrayal the source mentioned.
The betrayal of Poland.
Exactly. And he doesn't just feel it at this high geopolitical level. He seems to see signs of it, manifestations in current events happening within Poland itself.
Like what, for instance?
For instance, he was asked about numerous fires that had been happening across the country. His take. He suggests they are, quote, one of many provocations being carried out against Poland.
Provocations. So, implying they're deliberate, not accidental.
That's the strong implication, hinting at maybe a deliberate campaign against the nation.
Okay. That's serious.
And then we turn to Poland's predicted new president. The source refers to him as Mr. Nawrocki.
A prediction from a previous vision.
Yes, from a September vision. The source recalls predicting the next president would be a politically unknown, strong person, someone people would trust initially.
Oh, there's always a but with these things, isn't there?
Seems so, but who would ultimately, quote, betray Poles? Despite this prediction, the visionary does express hope that this President Nawrocki will act with honor, with principles, and won't succumb to pressure.
And who does he think will apply the pressure?
Specifically, he believes Trump will be the one trying to influence him.
Ah, okay. So this creates a really complex web, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Potential pressures on this new Polish leader.
It seems so.
The source suggests Trump's invitation to Nawrocki, it wouldn't be driven by friendship, right? But more by a desire to secure loyalty.
That's the idea.
And according to this visionary, Trump won't just be pursuing Russian interests, but also Middle Eastern ones. Plus, there's this belief that Russia might want revenge on Poland.
Revenge.
That's the term used. And that a certain Middle Eastern country could also have its own agenda regarding Poland. So you can see how Nawrocki is placed in this really precarious international position. Lots of different global players potentially applying pressure.
That sounds incredibly difficult. And there's a very specific detail here that kind of underscores this pressure.
What's that?
U.S. Law 447, also known as the JEST Act.
Right, the Holocaust-era assets restitution law.
Exactly. Signed by Donald Trump during his previous presidency. The source speculates that, quote, appropriate groups will now demand its realization from Trump.
Why Trump specifically?
The thinking seems to be that maybe a different president wouldn't pursue it as vigorously. They might see Trump, since he signed it, as the one from whom consequences can be demanded. The visionary believes the meeting between Nawrocki and Trump will touch on several key issues, including this law.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you, the listener, and, well, for Poland?
Good question.
The source points out something quite significant, that apparently no Polish government, neither from Civic Platform, PO, nor Law and Justice, PS, has ever actually debated this law in the Sejm, the Polish parliament.
Really? Never debated.
Nor, apparently, has Poland officially negated it with any kind of Polish resolution. And the implication there is, well, potentially significant. Under American law, the U.S. could potentially call for, quote, far-reaching sanctions on Poland for not implementing it.
Wow. So it highlights this specific, maybe looming international pressure point, a piece of legislation that's just remained unaddressed, unresolved within Poland's own government.
Exactly, creating a very real potential vulnerability.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly now to the wider conflict, Ukraine and Russia.
Right.
The source highlights Putin's really unyielding stance here. Apparently, Putin doesn't recognize Zelensky as the legitimate president of Ukraine anymore.
On what grounds?
Claiming his term has expired and therefore his government appointments are illegal.
Well, that's a fundamental rejection of Ukraine's leadership. It implies a huge hurdle maybe an insurmountable one, to any genuine peace talks, doesn't it?
It certainly seems that way, a massive obstacle.
And the source also offers a pretty interesting interpretation of military movements, too. Talk about military equipment being moved into Poland for exercises.
Yes, standard NATO stuff, you'd think.
Well, the source dismisses it, calls it a certain farce, orchestrated, he thinks, by Trump and Putin together.
A farce. Meaning?
Meaning he suggests it's more about strategic posturing, a kind of game for political leverage, rather than actual cooperation or de-escalation or even a genuine attempt to reach some kind of diplomatic agreement.
So, casting a pretty cynical light on what might look like routine military activities.
Very much so. It's seen as political theater.
And tied into this, the visionary then presents a really stark warning about the implications if any peace deal happens where Trump agrees to what the source calls Putin's immoral conditions,
Oh, yes.
such as potentially annulling accusations of war crimes or genocide against Russia.
Okay, that would be huge.
The source views any such deal as a profound defeat, not just for Ukraine, but for NATO and the United States, too. He argues it would set a dangerous global precedent. His words: attack someone, torment them long enough, and then agree peacefully on the aggressor's terms. That's called terror, not politics.
A very strong stance. Basically saying it normalizes aggression if the aggressor gets their way in the end.
Exactly. He suggests an outcome like that would fundamentally change political standards, fulfilling the aggressor's terms with potential, global ramifications.
So this leads us to think about Russia's ultimate goal in this whole scenario, at least according to the source. What does he think Putin is really after?
Well, the visionary believes Russia's aim is ultimately to weaken and ridicule America.
Weaken and ridicule.
Yes. By potentially providing compromising material about the U.S. president. He suggests Trump's numerous enemies within the United States would gladly use any such material.
Ah, okay. So using information as a weapon.
Yes. He describes Putin's actions in this regard as being like a snake, cunning, predatory, waiting for the right moment, perhaps?
That's quite the image. A snake.
It is. And the source also paints a very dramatic picture of Donald Trump's own future.
Oh, what does he see there?
There's this strong feeling he expresses that serious forces in the United States want to declassify Trump, that they're preparing to either, quote, ridicule him very strongly or even more drastically, liquidate him.
Liquidate.
As in, well, the term is stark. He believes American services are actively working on materials to achieve this, either to completely shame him, politically ruin him, or somehow otherwise remove him from the political landscape entirely.
That sounds almost conspiratorial. Very dramatic.
It's definitely on the sensational side of the predictions. The idea is that if Trump is publicly ridiculed, exposed in some major way, he would actually leave the U.S., not return, claiming his own nation betrayed him.
Wow. Exiles, essentially.
That's a scenario painted. His current presidential term, according to the source, will end in a very unusual way. He posits two scenarios prepared for Trump: either an assassination or such exposure that he himself will not return to America.
Assassination or self-exile due to exposure.
Yeah.
Those are extreme possibilities.
Extremely. The visionary feels that Trump's, quote, frivolous time as president is rapidly nearing its conclusion, one way or another.
Okay. Let's bring it back to Poland's future president for a moment, Nawrocki.
Right, Nawrocki. The visionary predicts Trump will pressure him quite specifically
On what?
to sign 3 agreements with Jewish groups, and he stresses this is distinct from the state of Israel itself.
Okay, 3 agreements. Anything else?
Yes. And also to extract some kind of declaration from Nawrocki about potential complications involving Ukraine. Yeah. Something apparently similar to a declaration made during the previous Pias government. Very specific demands, specific expectations being placed on this predicted new Polish leader.
It's fascinating, though, the advice the source then offers to President Nawrocki.
What's the advice?
Well, despite describing Nawrocki himself as a very unyielding and very distinctive figure, even calling him an American predator in Polish politics, meaning someone who will, right from the start, show he doesn't just yield to applause or influence.
Okay, so a strong character, supposedly.
Yeah. But despite that, the visionary warns him very clearly. Do not become dependent on Trump.
Don't get too close.
Exactly. He emphasizes Nawrocki should approach his first U.S. visit, presumably to meet Trump, with a raised head. Be prepared to disagree, to stand his ground.
Why is that so crucial, according to the source?
Because, the source states, Trump is politically ruthless. He uses this analogy.
Yeah.
Like someone enjoying a candy but then spitting it out when it no longer suits him.
a disposable view of allies.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
If Trump senses submission, if he feels someone is bending to his will, he basically considers it done. That person becomes his man, and Trump feels no need to invest further effort.
So standing up to him is key to maintaining respect or even just continued engagement.
Precisely. The warning is stark. If Nawrocki is too flexible towards Trump, it might be his last or maybe one of two visits during his entire presidency. He draws a sharp contrast here with Zelensky, who is described, perhaps harshly, as being in a supplicant position without other options. Nawrocki, the source implies, needs to project strength from the outset.
Well, that was certainly a deep dive, wasn't it? Into a very specific, highly speculative, and intensely political set of observations.
It really was. We've journeyed through these predictions of national betrayal, looked at the complex, often suspicious actions of key international leaders as seen by the source.
Right. It touched on specific legislative pressures like the Just Act, and even heard these dramatic prophecies about the fate of powerful figures like Trump.
And I think the real insight here, for you, the listener, is thinking about how such visions and interpretations, even if they are speculative, even if they feel outlandish sometimes, how they can reflect very real-world anxieties.
Yeah, anxieties about national sovereignty, maybe?
Absolutely. And about the immense influence of global powers, the role of personal character and leadership. As you consider these insights, maybe ponder the different forms that betrayal can actually take, both personal and political.
And how different nations have to navigate what they perceive as these external pressures, these internal vulnerabilities, especially in a geopolitical landscape that seems to be changing so rapidly.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder, I think, of how perception, individual or collective, can really shape political reality, or at least our understanding of it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you.
We hope this exploration has given you a unique perspective, maybe offered a different way to think about things, and perhaps left you with some intriguing new questions to ponder about the unseen forces potentially at play in our world.